The first thing that hit me wasn't the sun or the sound of waves. It was shame, sharp and sudden, like being caught mid-thought. I had come to the beach that morning hoping to disappear, to let the noise of my life dissolve into salt air and wind, but instead I froze, standing barefoot in the sand, staring at a truth I wasn't ready to face. My boss was there, unmistakable even in the open light of day, and she turned at the exact moment my eyes were in the wrong place. In that instant, everything I believed about myself, my work, and my quiet sense of dignity felt like it might collapse. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us we're all human beneath our roles and mistakes, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Touch. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. I had gone to the beach on a weekday morning because I needed space from my own head. My name is Aman Halim, and for the past 6 years my life had been defined by deadlines, polite emails, and the constant pressure of proving myself at a job that never quite felt secure. I worked as a junior project coordinator at a mid-sized design firm, and my boss, Marissa Caldwell, was known for being sharp, demanding, and almost impossibly composed. She walked through the office like she belonged to a different species, always calm, always controlled, never revealing more than necessary. To me, she was authority itself, not a person you expected to see under a blue sky with her shoes off. That morning was bright and clear, the kind of day where the ocean looks painted, and the sky seems too perfect to be real. Families were scattered along the shore, children building sandcastles, couples strolling slowly, vendors calling out softly. I had just finished a long, draining project the night before, one that nearly cost me my job due to a small but critical oversight. My chest was still tight from the stress, and the beach felt like the only place where I could breathe without being watched, or so I thought. I noticed her first not because I was looking for her, but because something about her posture caught my eye. She stood near the waterline, sunglasses in hand, hair loose in a way I had never seen before. In the office, her hair was always perfectly styled, her clothes structured and professional. Here, in the open daylight, she looked human, relaxed, and for a moment I forgot the hierarchy, the titles, the walls we build around people. My gaze lingered longer than it should have, drifting to a place that betrayed curiosity rather than respect. When she turned and our eyes met, the world seemed to pause. There was no anger in her expression, no immediate judgment, just a quiet awareness that made my face burn. I looked away instantly, my heart pounding, wishing I could disappear into the sand. In that brief exchange, I felt smaller than I ever had at work. Not because she was my boss, but because I had failed myself. I spent the next hour pretending to read a book I hadn't opened, replaying the moment again and again in my mind. I imagined how it would follow me into Monday morning, how it would change the way she looked at me in meetings, how my one moment of weakness might erase years of hard work. I had always prided myself on being respectful, on staying invisible when needed. And now, under the unforgiving light of day, I felt exposed. As the sun climbed higher, I noticed Marissa sitting alone on a towel a short distance away. She wasn't on her phone, wasn't reading, just staring out at the water with an expression that felt heavy, almost tired. It struck me then that I had never considered what her life might be like outside spreadsheets and performance reviews. Seeing her like that stirred something uncomfortable inside me, empathy mixed with regret. The real challenge wasn't what had happened at the beach, but what it forced me to confront about myself. I had been so focused on surviving my job, on pleasing someone who felt untouchable, that I forgot we're all flawed, all capable of mistakes in moments of distraction or stress. Still, knowing that didn't erase the knot in my stomach. A little later, as I walked along the shoreline to clear my head, I passed close enough to her to feel the tension rise again. I expected coldness, maybe even a sharp look that would confirm my fears. Instead, she offered a small, polite nod, the kind you give a stranger. It wasn't forgiveness, but it wasn't condemnation either. That subtle response stayed with me far longer than anger would have. Over the next few days, the beach moment followed me like a shadow. At work, I became hyper-aware of my posture, my eyes, my tone. Every interaction with Marissa felt loaded with meaning, even though she treated me exactly the same as before. No comments, no change in assignments, no visible shift in her demeanor. The suspense of waiting for something to happen was exhausting, and it forced me to look inward rather than outward. What began to change me wasn't an external confrontation, but a quiet realization. I had been living in constant fear of being judged, of failing, of not being enough. That fear had shaped the way I saw people, including my boss. At the beach, stripped of context and power dynamics, I saw her as a person first, and in my unguarded moment, I forgot the respect that person deserved. The guilt was uncomfortable, but it was also clarifying. One afternoon, weeks later, we were assigned to stay late to finalize a proposal. The office was filled with daylight fading slowly through the windows, casting long shadows across the floor. The atmosphere felt different without the usual rush, quieter, more honest. As we worked, I noticed signs of strain in her movements, the kind you only see when someone is tired of being strong all the time. It reminded me of that morning by the sea. By the time we finished, something inside me had settled. I understood that mistakes don't define us unless we refuse to learn from them. The beach incident, as humiliating as it felt, had pushed me to grow up in a way my job never could. It taught me awareness, humility, and the importance of seeing people fully, not through the narrow lens of my own stress. Months passed, and life moved forward. My confidence improved, not because I became perfect, but because I became more mindful. I focused on my work with renewed purpose, not out of fear but out of respect, for myself and for others. The memory of that sunny day no longer felt like a threat, it felt like a turning point. The final shift came unexpectedly. During a team evaluation, Marissa acknowledged my growth, not just professionally, but in the way I carried myself. It wasn't a dramatic moment, but it was sincere, and it meant more than any promotion. In that instant, I realized that second chances often come quietly, wrapped in everyday moments, and only those willing to reflect truly receive them. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you of a moment when you learned something important about yourself through discomfort or mistake, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps keep these human stories alive. Before the ending, a special request from the heart. Please comment one word that describes how this story made you feel. It helps build a community of understanding and kindness. That day at the beach was never about being caught looking in the wrong place. It was about being seen at the wrong moment and choosing not to look away from what that revealed. In the bright, honest light of daytime, I learned that growth doesn't come from hiding our flaws, but from facing them with humility and choosing to do better. And sometimes the most powerful lessons arrive quietly, carried in by the tide, leaving us changed long after the waves have gone.